Welcome, everyone. This is 5RoundMMA, the first episode of 2018. My name is Alex Ramirez, alongside my co-host Albert Cita. And on the phone, we have Guillermo Cita from Orlando, Florida. Gentlemen, Happy New Year. Albert, how's it going?
Happy New Year.
Good.
Guillermo, Happy New Year. So we're on a little
hiatus.
A little
How
hiatus.
about the Jaguars, man?
How about them Jaguars? Is that what
How
you
about
said?
them Rams, dog?
They lost, dude.
I know.
We were on a little bit of a break, a little 2-week hiatus for the holidays, but now we're back kicking it in full gear for 2008. So this episode is gonna be a little bit of a kind of a past news, reaction. I know you guys love our reaction to the news of MMA. So we got the whole lightweight title love triangle, Cyborg defeating Holly Holm, Stipe and Francis Ngannou turning up the trash talk, and a little more news and notes, and we'll also preview the next week's Fight Night event. So gentlemen, how was your holidays? Albert, how's yours?
Mine was good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Guillermo, what about yours?
Well, actually, I should say bad because the Lakers are like a 9-game losing streak. I can't even stand watching them anymore.
Yeah.
Luke Walton lost control of that team, Albert.
Honestly, I'm fine with dumping half the roster now. Just dump them
Bring
all.
the ball boys from Lithuania, dog.
Honestly, just keep Lonzo Ball, Ingram, and maybe Lance, and then just drop the rest. Literally, just all of them gone. Oh no, and of course, keep my boy Kuzmin.
Yeah, that's about it.
And that's about it.
I told you from the beginning of the season they had no chance this year.
Man, they started off fairly good.
All right,
Anyway.
that's all right. Anyways, so let's get to mixed martial arts. Albert, get that. You got the timer ready for me? Get the timer ready for
It's
me.
on.
So round number 1. So Khabib Nurmagomedov was a successful UFC with 219 against
Domination.
Edson Barboza. Now I don't know why, but he's already in the mix for the title talk against Conor McGregor. But people seem to forget that the real champ is out there in Tony Ferguson. So now we have kind of this love triangle of McGregor, Khabib, and Ferguson for the lightweight title. McGregor has been kind of coy on what he wants to do. Dana White said this, quote, as long as Conor is willing to fight by March, we could do Khabib versus Tony, and then the winner fights Conor for the title, or Conor doesn't want to fight, then we'll make Khabib versus Tony for the title, not the interim title, end quote. So it's kind of like Dana White's willing to strip McGregor of his title if he doesn't want to fight anymore. So I want to ask you, Guillermo, what's the likely scenario to happen? Will we have Khabib versus Ferguson for the interim title, and the winner fights Conor McGregor, or you think the UFC will actually strip McGregor of his title and just have Khabib versus Ferguson for the real championship?
I really think that we're going to see Khabib versus Tony Ferguson first, no matter what. Now, the question about Conor McGregor, that's the real magic question. But I think Conor McGregor ultimately returns back to the octagon because I think this traction of drop the title or defend or vacate is steaming up. And I think Khabib started this, and I think I see it everywhere now. Everybody's posting memes and stuff like that, but it's vacate or defend. So I think with that, if Dana White makes that where, hey, you're going to vacate because we're going to have them fight in March, for example, Khabib versus Tony Ferguson, I think he actually threatens to vacate the title, and he'll be back by July.
Wow. What's the likely scenario you think?
I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. I ain't
All right,
going to tell you
let's
the likely scenario. What's going to happen is Khabib has to fight Tony Ferguson first, regardless. I think there's no ifs, ands, or buts. That fight.
Thank you for agreeing.
Well, I'm not done yet. That fight has to happen first. It's owed to the fans, and at the same time, Conor, I feel, deserves the time to ease back into MMA, and I wouldn't want to see a rushed Conor McGregor, anyways. Look,
he's back in.
The guy's been eating.
Serious?
If you follow him on Instagram, Guillermo, he has been doing a lot of vacations, eating good. He has to ease back in, and then I think.
Oh my God! Then you obviously don't follow him on Instagram because he's training.
That's just recent. Those are recent posts, Memo.
Now.
Those are recent posts.
What?
It takes at least 3 months to get back into it.
I said he'll be back in July. That's what, 6 months from now.
Yes.
So,
but I'm not done
my
yet.
idea is more realistic.
No.
Okay, go.
At the same time,
Well,
there's no
go
reason.
ahead.
There's no reason to strip Conor McGregor if you're gonna book the Tony Ferguson Khabib fight. I think it's kind of it's ridiculous to strip him. So I think the Conor McGregor fight's gonna be unification.
How is
Now.
it ridiculous?
Well, Dana White's time frame's kind of weird.
Because if it's still in the year span,
Yeah.
it makes no sense to strip him. Like, okay, strip him in the beginning of the year just so he can fight at the end of the year. It's still the same calendar year. It makes no sense.
If you go by Dana White's calendar, if McGregor's ready to fight by March, he either fight Khabib or Tony. You can't have Tony and Khabib fight in like February and then be ready to fight in March because we're already in the middle of January already.
Exactly.
So it's so it's either like if McGregor's willing to fight by March, then he's gonna fight obviously Tony Ferguson for the interim because he had the interim title versus the champion, and then Khabib will get that winner. And then if McGregor's not willing to fight, or if you say, you know what, give me until July, like you said,
I think they're gonna fight before March just because Khabib.
Well, they gotta fight now.
It's like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well,
like 2 months till March.
I don't see why they can't make a very. I'm thinking they fight in March, and then maybe a couple months later, you do the Conor McGregor fight
in July.
Khabib did not get hurt one bit in his fight.
Yeah,
Turning Ferguson, we haven't seen him fight in a while, so we got two guys potentially can go now.
Oh my God, Alex, can I take over this because let me tell Albert some facts.
Okay, give me some facts. So I'm gonna look it up right now about Tony Ferguson.
Okay, you have Wikipedia. You have Wikipedia open. I at least don't. So I'm going everything off my head. So first of all, Tony Ferguson got surgery, right?
Yep.
So we don't know the extent to the surgery. So until we find out the extent to the surgery when he can return to fight, that's why March is more realistic. Because if Conor McGregor can fight by March, there is no way they can fight in like 2 weeks. Come on, bro. Tony Ferguson has been. I mean, I don't know how he's been trained, but he had surgery. Second of all, Conor McGregor hasn't seen any MMA action in over 12 months. Come on. What champion do you know was able to keep their title over that long span? So if you really think about it, if you're pushing towards even after late July, it's almost like 2 years since this guy will be without defending his title. So how is that okay?
It's not okay. I say, my opinion is you strip him, and then you have Khabib, the two best lightweights anyways.
He had elbow surgery December.
Okay. So we'll see. I mean...
And you're right, Alex. I think at the end of the day, you threaten to strip, and then that'll bring him out.
Yeah, and either way, McGregor's not going to go through both these guys. So, I mean, maybe it would behoove him to have them beat up each other, and then he gets the winner. Then maybe he could, pick his shot there, and maybe get lucky. Not get lucky again, but all it takes is one shot. We all know from McGregor. So we'll see. Yeah, I mean, and then he did that Instagram post you guys forwarded to me. It was like a rap song in the background, right? And what did he say? I didn't get it. So
pretty much that them haters are.
Oh, okay. Out. So he's coming back.
Yeah,
kind of. Anyways, that's it for round number one. We're going to take a small break. But also, I want to introduce to us a new sponsorship tier we have available for any sponsors or small businesses who want to get their product and company known out there to a wide variety of media outlets. Please contact us at FiveRoundMMA@gmail.com. It's FiveRoundMMA@gmail.com to get a hold of our sponsorship tiers. We have great deals for everybody. So again, that's FiveRoundMMA@gmail.com to get your stuff be heard. Right? All right, that's it for round number two. Round number two is coming up next. We talk about Cyborg versus defeating Holly Holm and what's the future hold for both the women's featherweight and bantamweight divisions. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Time for round number two. So over the break, we saw Chris Cyborg defeat Holly Holm via, I think it was unanimous, split or unanimous decision at UFC 219 to retain the featherweight title, women's featherweight title. Unanimous decision. She did a number on Holly Holm, but Holly Holm was, I think, one of the first fighters ever to survive all 5 rounds or survive an entire fight against Cyborg.
And it was one of those Rocky moments where Chris Cyborg bled.
Yeah. So definitely was the toughest challenge of her career. I think people expected it. And for Holly Holm, I'm pretty sure now she'll probably go down to the bantamweight division.
Dude, you are hilarious. You guys are hilarious today.
So basically, the fallout now was pretty much right after the win. Cyborg was calling out for former Invicta featherweight champion Megan Anderson to come step up and fight, even in her home country of Australia. They were really supposed to fight before, but Megan Anderson kind of had some issues that were, I think, personal. So now, if you follow Megan Anderson on Instagram, she's still been active and still training. So I think she might be in it. She seemed open to the Cyborg matchup. And then pretty much a couple days later, Cyborg said, yeah, she been offered and accepted to fight Megan Anderson in Australia. To which Megan Anderson said, no, that's fake. That's fake news. But then Dana White later on said that what I'm trying to do, what the UFC is trying to set up a super fight between Cyborg and Amanda Nunes, who's the current UFC bantamweight champion. Amanda Nunes is on board, Dana White's on board, but Cyborg isn't on board. She still wants to fight Megan Anderson. Megan Anderson's kind of up in the air. And so what do you think what's going to happen here? And my first question is it smart to pair up the women's bantamweight champion against the women's featherweight champion right now? I mean, there is no featherweight division right now. It's just Cyborg and anybody else. And then Amanda Nunes has a couple of contenders out there who could she go up against? And do you think a fight between two Brazilian fighters whose English isn't exactly the best can sell in the United States, unless they do it in Brazil? But what do you think?
Well, one, I can see the mindset why you wouldn't do Megan Anderson, just because the broader audience does not know Megan Anderson, and you kind of have to introduce her first, because this division's actually a unique one, because it's pretty much made for Chris Cyborgs with no contenders.
Yeah.
So I can see why they're going that, but I'm gonna tell you straight up, I can care less if she finds Amanda Nunes. I will not be pumped. I will not be excited.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. Amanda Nunes, I have never been excited to see her fight. Chris Cyborg, the only reason I wanted to see that fight was more for Holly Holm. That doesn't excite me. So I could care less about that matchup. And I am a Megan Anderson fan, but I do think she still has to be introduced. I wouldn't just put her straight up against Cyborg either.
Yeah, hey, Guillermo, here's a quote Misha Tate had on the possibility of a Cyborg versus Megan Anderson fight. It's a quote: "The problem I have with the fight is the quality opponents Megan has beat. I don't feel they're even remotely close to Cyborg. I think she's a bit green at this point. There's a big difference in the women she's been fighting and beating, and then Cyborg." End quote. So, Guillermo, I mean, obviously, there's nobody left for Cyborg to fight, but then did you sacrifice your champion in the division for the UFC? Are you even interested in Nunes versus Cyborg?
I think that's the only matchup that logically exists.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care what Albert says. That's the only.
You're gonna want to watch that?
Pumped up about.
You're gonna want to watch that.
Yeah, I would want to watch it.
You're gonna pay $60 to watch Cyborg versus Amanda Nunes. Is that what you're telling me right now?
I would.
Get out of here. You're a liar.
The girl that didn't he defeat Ronda Rousey, and then you have Cyborg, who's like the ultimate women. Like, to me, she's like the best women's fighter of all time. So why wouldn't you have? You're excited about TJ Dillashaw versus Demetrius Johnson.
I'll pay $100.
You're not excited about this. You have to be excited about this. This is the only matchup that actually makes sense. And I hate to say it, guys, but the women's division is lacking superstars. I mean, there is really good women's fighter, but in terms of personality that we had before, which is the Ronda Rouseys, the Misha Tates, the Holly Holmes, they're gone, dude. Amanda Nunes is the only one left, and Cyborg's the only one left, and Cyborg's actually kind of young. I really thought she was like in her late 30s.
Yeah,
she's a rough 30.
I mean, so I mean, like, this is, I mean, for Cyborg, after, let's say she were to defeat Amanda Nunes, what is there out there for her? I mean, the reason why she wanted to come to the UFC is to defeat these women. They all ducked her, and now they're all gone. And still, I mean, like, even the one that did offer to fight, which was Holly Holm, got destroyed by her. So, I mean, like, it's over with, dude. Chris Cyborg is the best women's fighter of all time.
Yeah,
well,
but I mean, it's not exciting.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, the only women's belts I get excited for is the bantamweight right now. I see any bantamweight women's fighter, I know they're going to deliver. For some reason, I'm not entertained with the Cyborg fight.
Yeah, so we'll see. That's it for round number 3. We're going to take a small. We're going to actually come back right back and talk about the trash talk between both heavyweight UFC heavyweight champion UFC heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic and his contender Francis Ngannou coming up next. Don't go anywhere. UFC 220 is just around the corner. That'll be headlined by a UFC heavyweight championship bout between Stipe Miocic, champion, against taking-on challenger Francis Ngannou. And gentlemen, I'll tell you, man, they're laying on the smack talk early and often now.
I like it.
Hey, Guillermo, man, what's your thoughts on the smack talk between Francis Ngannou and Stipe Miocic? I thought they'd be respectful, but they're both coming at each other, man. Guillermo, what do you think about this?
I think, well, first of all, they got the amount of time that they had to pump up this fight. You had to have someone say something out of like character.
Yeah.
Stipe Miocic is not known for smack talk, and Ngannou, it looks like he's a smack talker, but for some reason he's always been somewhat quiet to me.
Yeah.
So I feel like if we want the fireworks that we should expect, they gotta start like some way somehow hyping it up. So I think it was more of a press move. I'm sure the UFC came up to both guys and like, hey, come on, guys, this is like the biggest matchup we can possibly make at this moment. You guys need to talk.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened.
Yeah, there was that one tweet where Stipe kind of almost right after he kind of listed all of his victories.
And by KO,
and
first
by
round.
KO, and they said UFC 220, hashtag and still. And then Francis Ngannou just kind of commented, just put like the emoji smiley face. So yeah,
That's the best trash talk.
yeah. I'm really surprised. I'm really like I like it. Albert, it seems though that the UFC is kind of really heavily investing in Francis Ngannou. I mean, Guillermo, you pointed out too a couple of posts that are really highlighting this guy. Obviously, they want to kind of showcase him as a real contender. But do you think the UFC is kind of hoping Francis wins, or what do you think?
Well, here's the thing. Let's keep it real. In any organization, your bread and butter is the heavyweight division.
Yeah.
Pro wrestling, Muay Thai,
Boxing.
Your
Boxeo.
your bread and butter is the heavyweight division.
Yep.
Let's be straight up with that. And we know in the last couple of years the heavyweight division has suffered. Even though I think the current champ is one of the best heavyweight fighters we've ever seen, the competition hasn't been there. Let's keep it real.
Yeah.
And I think they need to go all in, and that's why you're seeing this type of push that we're seeing right now. And I do think that when you get this type of matchup, I think you have to put all your eggs in the basket because you want your heavyweight division to be your bread and butter, and you got to put it all in there.
Yeah.
And I think this is for once I'm excited that they're doing so much work just for this matchup.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of need it. Cain Velasquez is always a soft-spoken champion.
But this is the thing is Cain Velasquez is soft-spoken, but he has followers.
Yeah.
Whether he doesn't have to say anything whatsoever, you're still going to get the buy-in from the fans. People are still going to tune in to watch him. Same thing can be said about Ngannou now, and I think that's what they're pushing for is Ngannou versus Cain Velasquez at the UFC in July, something like that. Because I don't think Stipe Miocic has the following that Ngannou and Cain Velasquez can deliver. So you have an even bigger card to sell in July.
Yeah, and I think that's also Stipe's like inactivity. Like he won it and he's disappeared. Like I haven't. It's just weird. Like he's gone. I mean, obviously he has a career as I think was a fireman, so he's not always on social media smack talking because he has a life. But I think we were missing that charismatic figure at the top, like you said, of the heavyweight division. So
he had one bout in 2017, and that was against Junior Dos Santos, who I think stock has dropped tremendously in the last couple of years. So I think that hurts the division itself, the fact that there was only one bout in 2017. And then
meaningful bout,
and if we remember, 2016 is when we all got excited for the heavyweight division. That's when he had 3 bouts, and I think that's a good size. So I think in any way, fashion, whoever's the champion, you got to get 3 fights in there.
Yeah, I mean, when Fabricio Verdum is like the most active heavyweight out there, you guys are in trouble. Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully this kind of sparks it. Hopefully it's a great fight. If it's going to be an end knockout, then, it is what it is. But UFC 220 is going to take place January 20th. It's only a few weeks away at the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts. Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou. Also, Daniel Cormier is going to defend his lightweight title. So we'll probably preview this card in the upcoming weeks, but hopefully the Smack Talk kind of I think you can always really tell if the Smack Talk's real when they face off, right? And the weigh-ins, if it's kind of heated there, or if it just kind of, we'll play along for the media here. But I kind of have a feeling that these stare-downs are going to be pretty intense. I'm liking the build-up. You have a guy that wanted to join the corporation in Stephen. Yeah.
He wants to be the corporate champion, but Dana White won't let him. And then you got Francis Ngannou, who just... Suits. Yep, who is the corporate champion. He trains at the UFC facility. The embedded, he's all in the UFC facility. He is the face of Body Armor, the newest sponsorship for UFC. He's the corporate champion that Stipe wanted to know. I like the story.
That's it for round number 3. We're going to take a small break and enter the championship rounds. Do not go anywhere. Welcome back. Time for round number 4. We're into the championship round. So we were off for 2 weeks. And we'll spend this round kind of going off of what we missed in terms of MMA fights. I think one I saw was Yoel Romero versus David Branch actually at the UFC on Fox in 28. No disrespect to David Branch, but is this kind of a good? Is this kind of a warm up fight for Yoel Romero guys, or just kind of like?
Dang.
I mean, no, really, come on. I mean, this guy. No. What's up?
This is a true contender. Fight here.
Number 1 contender bout?
I wouldn't say number 1. Well, I don't take words out of my mouth. But it is going to be a competitive fight, and I think it is going to mean something. Despite the last bout, I think Branch did pretty good against Luke Rockhold. He is the former 2-time division champion in World Series of Fighting. So I think this is going to be a very competitive fight, and I think Romero is gonna get a rude awakening if he does not take this fight seriously.
Also, I think they also mentioned that Jacare was going to come back and face Derek Brunson. That, to me, feels more like a number one contender bout, you think?
Yeah, that one, especially since Derek Brunson has been putting in the work.
Hey, Guillermo, so now that GSP has vacated the title and Michael Bisping's kind of gone out of the picture, now we have the it seems like it all kind of fell back into place now. What do you think will happen now with the Jacare and Yoel Romero? You think they'll eventually find their way back to, like they always say, cream always rises to the top. So,
well, to be honest, I don't think that Jacare versus Brunson is the number one contender. I think Yoel Romero versus David Branch.
They're both coming off
the
losses,
number one
though.
contender. I understand that, but remember, it was a close fight between Yoel Romero and Robert Whittaker.
I don't think
it was
that was
a
close
decision.
at all. I don't think it was close a bit.
Anyway, we got to still see what happens between Luke Rockhold and Robert Whittaker, but then that alone, Yoel Romero versus Luke Rockhold, let's say, hypothetically speaking, that to me is more intriguing to me than seeing Jacare versus Luke Rockhold all over again, or Derek Brunson versus Luke Rockhold. I'm just talking in terms of my excitement to buy the card.
True. I mean, obviously we still got Kevin Gastelum out there. I mean, this middleweight division is so freaking stacked, and yeah. I mean, also too, you guys excited for the Bellator Heavyweight Tournament Grand Prix? That's in a couple weeks. We got Chael Sonnen versus taking on Rampage Jackson just right around the corner.
I'm just hyped to hope that someone gets hurt and my boy Rory McDonald jumps in.
Got no other choice but to put him in, right?
Yep, that's what I'm waiting for.
The other thing I wanted to touch on a little bit is your boy Cody No Love getting kicked in the face by Jean-Claude Van Damme. The guy's weakness is leg kicks to the face, and even in sparring, he gets brutally. He can't block it.
Yeah, that's not a good look for Cody No Love. If you guys haven't seen it, I guess he's Jean-Claude Van Damme's in on the mats with Cody No Love, and just showing him some pointers and showing him some kicks, and he barely, like, his big toe nipped Cody No Love's chin, and Cody runs off crying.
You never been landed by a big toe of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Well, true, but I mean, like,
Jean-Claude Van Damme probably puts power in that big toe.
And then, like, Cody puts his hands down, like he walks away.
Actually, if you go in, he actually talks about it in another podcast.
Who?
No Love. About the incident.
Yeah, okay.
He not only did he get mad, he walked out of the building and he was like beyond pissed, and they had to calm him down. And he walked out the building and everything.
Why?
Because he thought he was gonna attack Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Why was he mad for?
Because he got clipped.
Why? Does it tell you when you train? Is that the point?
That's what I'm gonna say. Like, so he never gets clipped during sparring with the other guys or whatever.
And he thought that was okay to act that way.
I guess
he thought it was perfectly cool to act that way.
First of all, no one
nobody can
disrespects
touch
Jean-Claude Van Damme that way. And you can saw he was very apologetic as soon as it happened. It wasn't like he was being a dick about it.
Yeah, that reminds me of the ones. Look at when remember the video we showed the Diaz brothers?
Yeah.
They were all. I think he clipped one of the Diaz brothers, but they were like just super into what he's going to show. But I don't know.
And that's the problem why I had him losing to T.J. Dillashaw. That guy needs some humble pie, man.
Yeah, really. That's Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I'll be honored if Jean-Claude Van Damme kicked me in the face.
And it's funny. I was reading the comments of some of that on that post, and people were like, "Oh, this is what happens when there's a movie actor in there." Like people need to know. Look up Jean-Claude Van Damme's kickboxing record.
And that goes
pretty much immaculate.
Yeah, and that goes for you too, Joe Rogan. He tried to say, "Oh, he did like point system fighting." Shut up, fool! He did real kickboxing, dog. And he was undefeated. Well, no, he wasn't undefeated, but he had a badass record.
But I mean, the thing with Rogan, okay, man. But like, how many fights have you had? Like, I'm not going to criticize anybody. These guys are all tough.
But Joe Taekwondo point.
He showed GSP a couple of things, so don't forget that.
You gonna tell me GSP did not know how to do a roundhouse kick or whatever the heck or
Nope, he didn't. Obviously.
Also, too, Tyron Woodley's going to be out, but he wants to return sometime back in, I think, in March or May, I think, with a shoulder surgery. But he said he wasn't impressed with Rafael dos Anjos win over Robbie Lawler, so it still seems he's not going to give anybody in the welterweight division a shot. And Colby Covington is still calling him out. So I think when he returns in spring, you got to pick one of them, either Rafael dos Anjos or Colby Covington, unless the UFC decides to put them up against each other. Then we'll go from there. But you can't keep running. These super fights are not interested.
Honestly, the way Tyron Woodley's been acting, that's what you're gonna see. You're gonna see it's gonna be Colby versus Rafael dos Anjos. Winner is gonna get Tyron Woodley. I bet you anything. Just going on how he's been acting and how 2017 went. I think he's gonna roll over to 2018.
Also, real quick, you guys remember Eric Oito Perez, right? He was a
I think I
yeah.
kinda recall.
He also made his lucha libre debut over the holidays with the Alberto El Patron.
Ay, güey.
Goyito had just signed with the Combate Americas, which Al Patron is the president of. So now he's also dabbling in professional wrestling. So that's kind of cool. That's it for round number 4. We got one more round coming up. We're gonna talk about the UFC Fight Night coming this weekend. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. 5th and final round UFC Fight Night. Stevenson versus Choi will take place January 14th at the Scottsdale Center in St. Louis, Missouri on Fox Sports 1. I believe, yeah, Fox Sports 1. Main evented a featherweight bout between Jeremy Stephens and Do-Ho Choi. Also on the card, a middleweight bout between Uriah Hall and Vitor Belfort. Is this Vitor Belfort's retirement fight? No?
I said that the last 2 fights, so I'm not gonna.
Also, Paige Van Sant versus Jessica Rose Clark in a women's flyweight bout. Welterweight bout, also Carl Usman versus ML Meek. Darren Elkins, Damage Elkins going against Michael Johnson on this card as well. And a plethora of women's fights on the prelims, which is kind of on the Fight Pass, which is kind of disrespectful, I think. You got Jessica Ai making her flyweight debut, Irene Aldana, who's returning from bantamweight, and also you got Danielle Taylor against J.J. Aldrich in a women's strawweight bout. Want to start from the top bottom? Jeremy Stephens versus Do-Ho Choi. I mean, no matter how many times Jeremy Stephens wins, he's never really considered a top contender, is he?
No,
he's never really brought up in the conversation. Why is that? Why is that?
There's a couple reasons why I think. One, I think Conor McGregor truly punked him out, and I think that hurt his stock a lot.
Yeah.
I think I see that GIF being used a lot when Conor McGregor punks him out. And the second thing is he has never been a consistent fighter in any division he's been in. It's always like two losses, 1 win. So he's never been a consistent fighter. So it's hard to get on that wagon when it's on and off. On and off.
Yeah.
On and off.
Also, losses to Frankie Yeager, Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira, Cub Swanson. Don't really help his case out, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, this almost seems to me like a proving ground for Do-Ho Choi, don't you think, Guillermo?
Woo-hoo.
I agree. I mean, I think the thing about Jeremy Stephens, he's always been like a tough elite fighter, but when it comes to like number 1 contendership fights or, you know, he's on a streak, he always seems to choke. So I think it's more for Choi than it is for Jeremy Stephens, because if Choi does win, I mean, you see all the guys that have beat Jeremy Stephens, it really means title contention or opportunity for a title.
Yeah.
I'm just glad to see my boy Choi in a fight, because we didn't see him all 2017. He had a war with Cub Swanson, and then before that, he was a KO machine. So I'm just glad to see him.
Yeah, so we're also middleweight bout, Uriah Hall versus Vitor Belfort. I mean, Vitor's still doing his thing, I guess, and Uriah Hall is kind of, I don't want to say faded into obscurity.
He has had some tough competition.
You think so?
No, I think he was put into deep water where he wanted to be. I mean, after the win with Gregor Mousasi, I think he wanted to, you know, kind of get the speed track to the middleweight championship, and I think UFC obliged, and it did not work out for him. I mean, he got Robert Whittaker, Garrett Brunson, and then Gregor Mousasi again, and then finally he caught, I guess, a break against Christoph, but he wanted to go to the deep waters, and that's what happens. And I think now it's kind of like they're trying to match up Vitor where they think it's not like lopsided. I think they're trying to go for that mid card level, and I think they're just trying to tell Vitor, look, bro, you got to retire.
This is competitive. This could be a really competitive fight, right?
Yeah, I can see that, but I mean, he fought Nate Marquardt last, and I thought that was gonna be the retirement fight because you kind of want to go off as a win. And even though Uriah Hall, we have seen, he sometimes doesn't bring out his best, but he also has that crazy knockout ability. Why would you even risk it? I think you should have left with the Nate Marquardt win and call it a day. True.
Also on this card, I think Paige Van Sant begins her march to the UFC women's flyweight title. I think the champion that the UFC wants, against Jessica Rose Clark, who's coming off a decision win over Beck Rawlings.
A split decision.
I mean, in a perfect world, they won't admit it, but I'm pretty sure the UFC would love to have a piece of gold around Van Zant's waist, right? To have her parade around and on all the media outlets and stuff like that.
I think since day one, that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why you're watching this on Fox Sports 1. I think it gives her more viewership to see. And also that new flyweight division, I really do think it's an open division right now.
Yeah,
So.
and it desperately needs to start. No disrespect to the current females on there, but when Pedro's fans established, she's been in commercials for a long, long time now. She's one of the first ever Reebok-sponsored fighters before that, that became a thing. So, yeah, I think it's just a matter of time before she gets it. Also, Carl Usman on this card as well. The UFC Fight Night, Stevenson versus Choi, January 15th, live on Fox Sports 1. Yeah, until the next week, guys. Good to be back, 2018. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FiveRoundMMA. It's FIVE Round MMA. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Podomatic, and YouTube. And visit FiveRoundMMA.com. I also want to give a little bit of heads up. Dropping this week, we were able to produce, along with Off Cedar Productions, which is our parent company now, a series of almost vignettes and mini documentaries for the upcoming Fighters Rep card on January 13th in San Bernardino. Albert, can you just talk a little bit about the Fighters Pride video that will be dropping out?
I'm super excited about it. It's pretty much like a little mini documentary, embedded, type-ish, but not really that much. It's cool because one of the things that I've always taught to other MMA fans is they want to know what's up and coming or how it is to be an amateur fighter, because it's easy for you to go to the bar and say, oh, I would beat up Mighty Mouse or blah, 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 but to actually go through the grind is another thing. So you get a little taste of that.
Yeah.
Seeing people that are going from talking to actually attempting it. So it's a good perspective, I think.
Yeah, it's Fighters Rep 2 Return of the King will take place this Saturday, January 13th. Visit FightersRep.com for more information. And they're also going to be there providing live production for the card as well. So they'll be dropping on everybody's YouTube channel. So it's a big step for us in 2018. I want to say you can expect great, big things for us this year at 5RoundMMA, Off Cedar Productions. Guillermo Cedar, what do you got?
Oh, yeah, the cream of the crop.